Welcome to the British Football Guy. I'm Ollie, and my co-host today is
Logan Thompson.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that worked out pretty well.
Yeah. So we're back, and this is the wide receiver episode that we're doing. We only did a short running back one, mainly because running backs are short, and there isn't much to choose from. But wide receivers, my God, there is so much candy to pick from the candy store. So we're going to start off with what Fantasy Pros is saying in terms of the top five. And whether we agree with it. 1, Tyreek Hill. 2, Devontae Adams. 3, Stephon Diggs. Oh, no. That's going to be something I'll touch on with Stephon Diggs. 4, Calvin Ridley. 5, D-Hop.
That's it.
That's 5.
I'm actually surprised you didn't play that sound for Calvin Ridley myself.
I didn't know where it was, but also I like Calvin Ridley, and I have a signed jersey that we're going to put up for a competition. No, I think Calvin's good. But I take your point, like Calvin isn't usually before DeAndre. So, okay, what's your thoughts on this top 5?
Well, Calvin Ridley for 1. I think Stephon Diggs, considering who his QB is, I think that's not a bad choice.
At number 3?
Maybe not number 3, but top 5.
Who would you replace?
For what?
Where would you put him? Where would Diggs be? Number 5 or?
Yeah, probably a little bit lower. I think DeAndre Hopkins probably deserves being in the top 5. Maybe number 4, maybe number 3. Hard to say. I think the number 1 and 2 that they have, Devontae Adams and Tyreek are
lockdown.
You can't really argue that.
So here's my thing.
But Ridley, that's a hard one for me.
That's what she said. So the Tyreek and Devontae, 1 and 2 lockdown. Why I don't like Stephon Diggs at 3 is I think I drafted him in like the 4th round last year, or even 6th round, because they didn't know how he was going to perform, and he obviously did incredible. Realistically, won me my league, so I should be more. I should send him a gift basket. But I don't want to pick him in the first round because I got him at such good value in the last year. D-Hop, I'm a huge fan of D-Hop, but it's Kyler, and I think probably Ridley will get more balls than... oh, God. Don't even smoke. So for me, the only thing that I like Calvin Ridley, and because there's no Julio, that's why I think he's there.
I would probably replace him with Metcalf personally.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I would put DK up there. I really like DK just because of his work ethic, and
he's an incredible athlete, superhuman.
Exactly,
he's a freak. Last year when he ran the whole football field just to tackle that Cardinals player,
Buda Baker.
Yeah,
and Buda's not quick. Not slow. And then he even tried out for the Olympics.
The sprint, right?
For 100 meters. And I think his time was like 10.4.
For his size?
For his size, and this is just, I'll just take a crack at it. 10.4. The world record, sub 10, was back in the 90s when that was broken. So he's insane. Like you said, with all that weight. So I think DK should be in the top 5. And we talked about the wide receiver, double down with a quarterback. And I think this is really important when we do think about wide receiver. If you are going to take that plan into your fantasy drafts, think about this, because there's so much value. Like we touched on running backs. Get one in your first or second round. If you don't, you can't do a no running back league. No running back strategy this year. It's just not possible. But there is so many wide receivers that have value this year. So in terms of how we're going to do this is we're going to talk about our top 5, or just go through the 5 people that we see value in and we should want in our wide receivers. So, Logs, hand over to you. Who, if you could, I think you could technically take 5 wide receivers, if not 6 or 7, and that's going to be part of my strategy, because you're going to have most likely 2 wide receivers, a flex, and then at least 2. So this is why we're talking about 5, is if you're thinking about how it plays out, which 5 would you like to have in a utopian society?
Well, top 5 aren't too bad. DK Metcalf is close at number 6 on the pros list. I mean, his right-hand man, Tyler Lockett, another good option.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if DK has a bad game, Lockett's pretty much right behind him to pick up the
Or
slack.
Injured. No, seriously, I think that if you can get Tyler in a good place.
Yeah.
But yeah, thinking about the whole draft, like the 5 wide receivers that win. So I've been doing mock drafts. But if you think about the depth of it. So, I mean, I can go first and give you an idea of how I'm doing it because I'm looking at the whole spectrum of it. So you're right, DK is my number 1 wide receiver off the board. If I can get him.
With Russell Wilson?
Russ Wilson.
A pair.
Yeah. A pair of apples they would be. So Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, I think he's great value right there. And again, you could potentially have Metcalf and Kupp.
Kupp's not even in the top 20, it looks like, which is unreal.
21. Kenny Golladay ahead of Cooper Kupp. That's too much of a risk.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones has probably been playing tennis and yachting in the Hamptons this year. So, Cooper Kupp, really good value. And then you got Tyler Lockett behind. I'd take Tyler. Adam Thielen. I've always been Thielen, but I feel he's getting older. I'm sure he is getting. People do.
If you consider the pair with Cousins, it's a mixed bag sometimes.
And then also you got Jefferson.
Yes.
And that's
where your first option, right?
He's your first option.
Yeah.
So again, Jefferson and Kirk Cousins, who we didn't even mention. I do feel Kirk Cousins.
Forgotten man.
Not a forgotten man, but eventually he will be. But Kirk Cousins walks into a bar. He's one of those guys that will go to the party and he's like, oh, I thought that was a palm tree. It's Kirk Cousins. Kirk, how long have you been here? Dude, I mean, like 3 hours. Oh, man, I'm sorry. I didn't say hi.
Unnoticed for sure.
He's an unnoticeable man. But we didn't talk about him, but Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson or Thielen is a later round piece. But yeah, I think Jefferson and Kirk Cousins we didn't talk about, but that would be a good match. So I've gone for Metcalf, Kupp, Tyler Lockett. Happy to kind of double down on that as a flex option and just see, if one of them gets injured or who they're playing, it is a bit risky. Mike Williams is way down in terms of value, and now he has a good quarterback in Herbert. I think Mike Williams could come good. Mm-hmm. He's way down. Then I have Laviska Shenault at Jags.
Jags, yeah.
Good
value, I would think.
So you went to ASU, and they're in the Pac-12, and he was at CU. So I used to see Laviska actually play on the television, and yeah, he was incredible. Like again, similar to DK Metcalf, probably in a sense of superhuman. So I think Laviska I've got down there. Now get this, we haven't talked between us as we kind of prepping for this. AJ Green, who does he play for?
I don't remember.
The Cardinals. He went to the Cardinals.
That's right, in the offseason, yeah.
Yeah, so he is down at 78 off the board for wide receivers, and we have D-Hop, and Larry hasn't decided what he's going to do. Right. Christian Kirk's still around there, so I understand why he's so low.
He could be good value, potentially.
In a bigger league, a 12, 14 league, or even a 10 league, you've got AJ there. So he's definitely a waiver guy, but AJ used to be...
Can't believe I forgot about him.
First, second row. Yeah, again, he's nearly I feel we've used the cricket too much. But he's nearly a forgotten man. And maybe he will be after this year. But yeah, so for me, I'm looking at something like a Metcalf, a Green, and a Kupp with a Lockett. Even a Judy you can get pretty good value on.
Yeah.
My biggest tip isn't Trevor Lawrence's train. It is Deebo Samuel. I think Deebo you've got really good value in, and I think he's coming around the 7th. So I've got kind of a really good group of wide receivers that I can think are interchangeable. So yeah, so mine, Metcalf, Cup, Lockett, Debo, Williams, and LaVisca. Those are kind of like who I think you could get all in the same team. And that value is incredible. And then the last stretch would be Antonio Brown.
I guess in terms of value, yeah.
You can get him with all of that group. Like, none of these players that I'm talking about really overlap. Maybe Cup and Lockett, but if you're coming in as the 10th draft order, you could get both of them back to back. And then your wide receiver dreams are made. So who are you thinking? Like, who would you like to have in your draft team, like wide receiver?
Obviously, a couple of the names that we've already said. I think when you're considering the duos, Mike Evans or Chris Godwin is kind of
so much talent.
Extra option. Yeah. I've already brought this up, but I think Cole Beasley is going to be a great option this year. Probably a pretty good value. Everyone's going to focus on Stephon Diggs, and Cole Beasley is just kind of the short guy that nobody really pays attention to.
Yeah, he looks like my female cousin. I told you that. Short redhead.
But I really like him. If he has the year that he did last year, people will be pretty disappointed that they didn't pick him up as a kind of a end of the draft type option, later on in the rounds.
He's number 60. And if you look at the names that he's around, it is insane. I mean, like Jalen Reagor was, he's at 57. There's potential value like Cole Beasley, Russell Gage, and Christian Kirk. Like, these are always...
Yeah.
And then even Jamison Crowder.
Oh, wow.
This is like in the late 50s, 60s. There is Henry Ruggs at 55. For Vegas, like, these are guys that were top rookies last year. Jalen Waddle, just a little bit at 51. There's a lot of... There's so much value. Are there going to be enough games for all of these players to get passes? I mean, why is there so much value at wide receivers that I didn't feel there was last year?
I don't know the answer to that.
Just talent coming through
the
college
system? A lot of talent, yeah. And I think as people focus on their own personal health, the longevity of some of these players is increasing. I mean, Cole Beasley's not a spring chicken anymore, obviously. So I think they're just taking care of their own personal health at this point. And
it does look a little bit like a chicken, red hair, small, beaky.
Yeah. But anyways, a couple...
Sorry, go on. You said you like Cole Beasley.
Yeah, a couple more names to throw out there. I think we haven't even said CeeDee Lamb. Amazing last year, even with Andy Dalton, another forgotten man.
They had 52 quarterbacks through the season at Dallas. I think there's 5. I think they had 5 quarterbacks.
Too many to remember anyways. But I think his ceiling is unreal. He's got so much talent. I think he'll probably beat Amari Cooper as the number 1 option this year very easily.
I'd go along with that.
Yeah. We didn't even mention A.J. Brown at Tennessee, right?
Playing with Julio.
I guess that's another name we kind of forgot to mention in the wide receiver group, but just another option to take off some of the stress that Julio will probably end up seeing. So I think it's probably a good value because Julio is going to be probably double teamed in some cases just due to his skill level.
Yeah. Which is, I mean,
A.J. Brown is obviously no joke either.
I was going to say, how do defenses even think that through?
Yeah.
And then Derrick Henry?
Yeah. Their offense looks
Titans are
crazy.
Let's take a trip down to Nashville.
Yeah.
What's the schedule like?
Where's Tennessee on here? Titans, they're okay. Middle of the pack as far as difficulty this year, according to the pros.
You'd take that.
Yeah. Oh, and with their talent, yeah. So, I don't know. That's a lot of good names out there. I think we should probably mention, like, Chase Claypool and Juju Smith-Schuster, but they have the hardest schedule this year and an aging quarterback and just not having... I mean, Claypool obviously had some great games last year, but Juju did not. So I think that those two people might want them, but I don't think that they're somebody that we will see as like high draft value this year.
Yeah, Roethlisberger for me, never liked him, but Juju has caused too much pain. I mean, we talked about this off air, but you were saying that you picked Juju in his rookie season. He did phenomenal.
Yep.
I picked him not in his rookie season for 2 seasons concurring, thinking, no, this is going to bounce back, and he didn't.
Yeah.
Juju's a waste of money, and Juju, for me, is a potential forgotten man after this season, which is a shame because I think he has a lot of talent. Claypool out of nowhere. I don't know. So,
but I think it might have been just a one and done type year for him. Probably. I think that there's that setup for him, right? I mean, they don't really have much of a QB lineup behind Roethlisberger at this time.
Mason Rudolph.
Rudolph, right?
Who's a cunt from all. And if you listen to, who did he?
I think he was behind Rodgers at Green Bay for a couple of years.
But no, I mean Rudolph is the guy that went off at the.
Didn't he have a red nose?
No. Yeah, he was behind Donald Blitzen, but with the Browns fight, and why can't I remember his name? Because like a phenomenal. He's not a cornerback. Cleveland Browns, that fight where the helmet.
Oh, right, the throwing of the helmet.
Yeah, and my God, okay, we'll edit this when I think of his name. He secured like a huge contract, and Mason Rudolph is now. I would love to know what he said. Mason Rudolph.
Oh, sure.
Like Myles Garrett.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, Myles Garrett. If you see Myles Garrett in a suit, I mean, it's like. I mean, I don't know if it's a good look because it's just bulging out of it, but yeah, I mean, the guy is stacked, but he kind of got this huge contract. Now, if you think that, I mean, we're going off on a tangent here, but if Myles Garrett was the one in the wrong, I mean, you shouldn't throw helmets at people's heads. However, it never came out what was said, and I'm pretty sure Mason said something he shouldn't have done, naughty boy. But yeah, so Pittsburgh, I just never liked Pittsburgh, even as, I mean, look, as a Cardinals fan, and look, history goes for me, like, yes, I live in Arizona, I'm married to an Arizonan, but the first place I went in the US was Arizona, and decided formed the Cardinals, and they lost to the Steelers. I don't know what it is about the Steelers, just don't like them.
Agreed.
Pittsburgh, what's Pittsburgh's like? Mate, I think I've been in there for a connecting flight and had some
Dark
sushi.
and dreary, probably.
Only good thing about Pittsburgh, Mr. Rogers.
The legend.
But yeah, so yeah, I think you're right.
All right. So I think another good value, probably not brought up yet, is Jarvis Landry. Not number one option probably for Baker Mayfield. And considering that we were trying to figure out what Odell Beckham Jr. is probably doing this year, another maybe
Golf.
Yeah,
Golf, I think.
On a yacht probably.
Yeah, he's going to Torrey Pines.
But we haven't heard a lot about him, and he didn't seem to be much of an impact player last year. Minor. I think Jarvis kind of took over as top tier for them.
They were both shit. I'll be honest. They were both shit from OBJ, and because I remember I drafted OBJ a couple of years ago when he did go to the Browns. Didn't do great. I think there was like one terrific catch, and then Jarvis last year didn't do anything because Ritz, my wife, had him and was like, God damn it, why is Landry not doing anything again? I picked up Landry. And it was always about Landry. So I know Landry didn't have
I think part of the problem, though, was potentially that Baker chose Odell as the number one, or like the team was forcing that as the avenue, right? Taking away options for Jarvis. When you give Landry more options, it might lead to better places for them.
Yeah. I mean, look, potentially, and that's it. There's so much value in here. Anyone else that you're thinking could be good value later down the drafts?
I think Traquan Smith we didn't mention because Michael Thomas is injured, right?
Right.
He's going to be number one probably for them at least indefinitely until Michael Thomas comes back. So I think we should mention him.
Mentioned.
I think that kind of covers a lot of them at this point. I'd like to... We've been talking about the forgotten man. I think somebody who's going to be forgotten is Nelson Aguilar. He apparently got traded to the Patriots this year, and after having like some decent stints at the Eagles, I think he's going to be kind of pushed under the mat.
So it's interesting. Like, I tend to not draft players from the Cowboys or the Pats.
Yeah.
Or the Eagles.
Patriots tend to do well enough to win games,
but not good for fantasy.
But not good for fantasy. I drafted Tom Brady one year from them and consistently lost because of him, because he wasn't a huge shining quarterback in fantasy. Great when it comes to numbers as far as winning, but fantasy, lackluster.
And there's always going to be somebody in bloody dogs. We'll pause here. Well, I'll cut this part.
Just cut it out.
I think we can wrap this one up
Sure.
pretty soon, because I think we can go on to strategy and then end it there. And then depending how you do it on time, because it's 5, we can either do tight end really quickly or just push it back.
Yeah, let's do the tight end one. Do like a
10-minute one
version, yeah. Because I think Titans are going to be real fast.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be much of an issue there.
And that would be good, because then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes, and then I'll cut these, and then the bold statements one.
Where's Robert Wood at? Just out of curiosity.
It's not gonna be that. Oh wait, so I'm looking at tight ends.
Oh. Because he's at LA, right? Rams?
17.
He might be good value.
With Cup. Well, Cup's further down, yeah. I was fine with LA. They had Brandon Cooks and Robert Woods. And they just went back and forth. Like, there was no mainstay. It was like, do I play Cooks or do I play Woods? And it was like, oh, for fuck's sake, you could just never... Like, they did used to share the ball a lot. Oh, wait. Was that just a package, or was that Britt's?
Sounds like she's here. I think some other names to mention. I mean, I don't think we even touched on Keenan Allen being a good potential option.
I mean, yeah.
Kenny Galladay could potentially...
DJ Moore.
I mean, wide receivers this year are just...
Brandon Ayuk had a phenomenal year, but you can't pair him with Garoppolo or Trey Lance.
Right. Yeah.
Ritz? Oh.
Oh, they have Odell at 25.
Really? Jesus.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, you've got Deontay Johnson. I just stay away from any Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I see Debo here. Debo's really good value. Hi, darling. Hi, big Darcy. Stop looking at her. Did you get a toy? Did you get a hippo unicorn? A hippo unicorn? Come show me. It's okay, Logan. You know Logan. Come show me the hippo unicorn. Darcy, don't. You dare. Come here, baby. Hi. Say hi. Come to daddy. Say hello. All right. Okay. So we'll carry on. So, who are you talking about?
Keenan Allen being a potentially good option. Robert Woods. I mean, like we were talking about, wide receiver depth is very, very deep this year.
It's insane. It is insane. And so as we're going for this, we haven't mentioned names like DJ Shark, Brandon Ayuk, DJ Moore. There is so much. So this is probably a nice segue. Do you have a wide receiver strategy?
Pick them all.
It's like Pokemon. You got to catch them all.
Catch them all. I think it just really comes down to who you're playing with and where you get positioned in the draft, right? I think I'll be focusing more on who is top value at this point. But hard to say, you might think that somebody's high value and then they just get picked up randomly by someone else in the draft. So you never know what anyone else's strategy will be.
And I think, yeah, and I think so. This, if you're looking at an overall strategy that we've been talking about, is you need to pick one good running back because there's so much depth at wide receiver, and again, it's a double down. The QB and the QB wide receiver. I think it has to play in this year because there is so much depth at both QB and wide receiver.
I think you got to focus on a wide receiver that has a good top, 10 QB, I suppose.
Top 15, even if,
to match. I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
You need a good, strong QB behind the wide receiver. So focus on someone that has that support behind them that's going to be able to place the ball where they need it. Somebody that probably has a pretty good arm, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, that sort of thing. I think
and look, so we'll end on this, and this would be my strategy for wide receivers, is you start with thinking about the double down. Like, if you get a Metcalf, if you miss out on a Metcalf, but you get a Hill, then you're looking for a Mahomes. If you don't get a Mahomes, but you've got a Hill, you look at getting a Cooper Kupp, and then you're looking at getting a Matt Stafford because you know that value is going to come later on. Maybe you have to get that value a little bit earlier. But that's the strategy. The rest of my strategy for wide receivers, like you said, pick them all.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly, when I've been doing mock drafts, I am taking a bunch of wide receivers, like so many. And the thing is, I know I'm going to trade them or just go on the waivers for the ones that haven't started well, and I'm going to look to maybe pick up a running back that's coming fast outside the blocks. And actually, I know we're not doing this in our league, but in one of the Austin league that we're doing, is we're going to do auction waivers. So you have $100, and then you're going to make that last. So anyway, any other final comments to close out on the wide receivers, Logs?
I think last point is just to look at the schedule ranks. Maybe focus a little bit more on some of the wide receivers and running backs that have an easier schedule.
Who we got?
So the easiest, I'll do like top 5 on the easy. You got Eagles, Cowboys, Falcons, Bucks, and Dolphins.
Wait, say that again.
Eagles, Cowboys, Falcons, Bucks, and Dolphins. So Bucks, obviously no-brainer there. Cowboys, they've had easy schedules in the past and have done miserably with that.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Yeah. And then kind of at the tail end of that, you got Steelers at the worst, Ravens, Bears, nobody cares about, Packers, which could be influential.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got star players, but maybe take that into consideration, and then Vikings.
So I think that's a great point, because I never look at strength. What's it called? Strength of schedule, or
strength of schedule from hardest to easiest. Hardest being where the Steelers are at, easiest being where the Eagles are at.
So if you're looking at this, so Eagles, Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Reagor. Oh, hello. Hi, Sailor. So Cowboys, I don't want to pick Dak up because I just don't. The only thing I trust in Dak is his sleep schedule on those mattresses that he sleeps on. So, but Falcons and Bucks, it's worth picking up Tommy B if you have a wide receiver, just to bring him in as, and Falcons.
Bucks players could have a lot of weight having that easy schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
James, what's his? Why do I always forget the Falcon? Forgotten man. What is the QB of Falcons?
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. Why do I think I have dyslexia.
He's got an arm though.
No, I like Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
I do like Matt Ryan. If I was a footballer, quarterback, he's not a bad-looking guy. He could do better on his wife. I think he's... What's the opposite of punching? Downgrading? Accepting? Settling.
Yeah.
Settling. I'm sure Matt Ryan's wife doesn't listen to this, but Mrs. Ryan, he's a good-looking boy. So Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, you know you can get Matt Ryan probably on the bloody waivers. So if you've got a Ridley and Kyle Pitts, so strategy-wise, we are looking at, I think there is, I think the schedule has, look at your schedule, look at who's playing. Like these are mainly pretty shit teams, except for, I'd say, Falcons, Bucks, and I mean, the Falcons aren't going to do particularly great, always underachievers. Dolphins get Tua and Jamar Chase. Oh, no, wait, not Jamar Chase. He's at Bengals. Who the hell Waddle? Jalen Waddle.
Gesicki is...
Oh, Mike, it's tight end. Gesicki, absolutely. Gesicki's not a bad tight end. And with that, I think we should close on the wide receiver, meaning that there's so much depth. Don't worry about it. Just do the double down, get a quarterback, look for that value later, get your one good RB, and then just draft a shitload of wide receivers. There's so many of them. So we're going to close out, and then we're going to finish up in our next episode with tight ends. Thank you, and God bless.